My relaxing walk sucked, and I think my neighbors hate me now.
Lately, I've been going on walks around my neighborhood to hopefully improve my mental health and get a bit more movement in. Last week, I was on my afternoon walk and I spotted a large dog, no collar, by itself a few yard lengths away, back the way that I had already passed. He sees me and starts charging towards me. I love dogs, but this dog's body language was not friendly. When the dog reached me, he was snarling and growling at me. I wasn't totally sure of the protocol, so I just tried to look big confident. I am a smaller woman, and kept my steady pace to hopefully put some distance between this snarling dog and myself, but not so fast that it would encourage him to chase me. He kept following me and growling, snarling, letting a little distance grow between us before charging me and dipping to the side of me at the last second. He hadn't attacked me yet, but it really seemed like he was right about to bite. I kept hoping he'd give up and leave if I just kept walking, and I only had a little ways longer to go until I was back at my house. After about 2 minutes, the dog does leave, because it saw another, smaller dog out in one of my neighbor's front lawns. It charges the small dog, and thankfully there were some big dudes, the smaller dog's owners, out on the front porch. They start yelling and pick the little dog up right before the big dog gets to it. Big dog starts jumping on these guys, trying to get the little dog, and they're kicking the big dog and screaming at me to come get my fucking dog. I tried to yell back that it wasn't my dog, but they were too preoccupied with being attacked and just kept trying to kick the big dog off while yelling at me to come get him. I had no clue what I was supposed to do because I didn't want to be involved in a dog attack with two strange dogs, but it felt wrong not to help. But I am a small woman, and there were already two big guys fighting this dog. They were also a couple houses down and across the street, so it would take me a minute to jog over there, and I'd have to get in their property and go up on their porch by the front door, and they were strange men who seemed very angry with me, which also felt weird and uncomfortable. I picked up my pace a bit to head towards them because I didn't know what else to do. But thankfully, they managed to escape back inside their house with the little dog. They slammed the glass door shut and kept screaming at me through the glass to come get my damn dog and put a fucking leash on him, and just cussing me out in general. I just kind of hurried off while the dog was distracted, trying to claw its way into these guys' house. I got back to my house without seeing the dog again, and I've been too scared to go on another walk. There may be a volatile and violent dog still wandering around, but mostly I'm sure my neighbors absolutely hate me because they think I just put my unleashed violent attack dog on them and left.
I got locked in a movie theater last night.
It was my birthday yesterday, so I took myself to watch a movie. I got there for the last showing of Hunger Games, not knowing it was almost a 3-hour-long movie. Turns out I was the only person watching the movie, even though I swore I saw someone else in the theater. I started getting really sleepy when Snow and Lucy escaped together. Kept thinking to myself if I fell asleep that I would probably be forgotten about and end up locked inside. So I made sure to stay awake till the end. Around 1:40 a.m., the movie ended. I exited the theater and things were eerily quiet. No one behind the food stand, no one at the check-in desk. Turned the corner and saw the bar was completely empty, shut down and lights off. It felt like I was the last person alive, since it was inside a mall that had closed around 10 p.m. Everything was so quiet. I turned again and saw the escalators shut down. Never seen that before. And the main doors to get inside were covered by the huge grate that was now pulled down and locked. I was the only one there, and there was no way to get out. I almost called the cops. I was really freaked out. I ended up walking around until I saw a random door that read exit. I went through and it locked behind me. I was now in this weird little maze area of white walls with graffiti and a bunch of random turns. I thought if I get trapped here, it would be impossible for anyone to find me until tomorrow, unless I called the cops immediately. Finally, though, the turns in the maze stopped, and I reached an exit that led me right next to the hotel entrance nearby. I was debating, reaching out, and letting them know what happened so it won't happen to anyone else. Is someone's job to go through each room and make sure it's clean or empty? I can't imagine they just leave like that normally. But I do kind of want to try it again and maybe grab myself a Lyle Slurpee on my way out.
My first date, suited for viewers edition.
Do you remember when you went on your very first date? It was one of those experiences that are hard to forget. I was only 14 years old at the time, and I had a crush on a little emo rocker girl named Nancy. Nancy was 13 years old, and she had crazy black hair, black eyeliner, and she kind of resembled a Harley Quinn type of clown look. She always wore colorful long socks and a black skirt. She may have been around 4'11" at the time. Her favorite bands included the Ramones and Nirvana. At this time, I was more into heavy metal and was into Metallica, Ride the Lightning Baby. We were both in middle school, and she would catch my attention during lunch and breaks. The year was 1997, sometime in November, when I finally got the courage to speak to Nancy. During lunch, I finally went right up to Nancy and attempted to get her phone number. I had no clue I had to socialize with Nancy. I just believed getting her number was the key to her heart. I approached Nancy, and she just looked at me with piercing eyes, and she didn't smile much, so I was nervous. This felt like I was being tested for some reason. "Hey, I just want to know if I could have your phone number." "Oh shit, I am Saul, by the way," I tell Nancy. Nancy stares at me and nervously finally speaks. Yeah, that's fine, I guess. Let me write it down for you," she says. Just like that, I felt like I had reached peak adult manhood. I treasured that phone number. I hid it within my black Metallica jacket and thanked her. Later that day, it dawned on me I was actually supposed to call her. Obviously, that's why I asked for the number in the first damn place. Shit, I told myself now. What am I supposed to do? Keep in mind, during this time, we didn't have Google and cell phones did not exist for kids my age. I began to muster up the courage to call Nancy. I had to call her because why else would she give me her number in the first place? These were very confusing times. I finally mustered up the courage and called her. The conversation was awkward, to say the least. I had no idea what to say. I picked up my home phone and called her, and a lady picks up the phone. "Hi, is Nancy there?" I ask. "Hold on a sec, I'll get her," they reply. "Hello?" I hear the sweet voice. "Hey Nancy, this is Saul," I tell her. "Hey dude, what's up?" she replies. After a short awkward pause, I ask, "So do you have your own room?" I ask Nancy. Yeah," she replies. "Do you also have a TV in your room?" I ask. "Yeah, I have a TV," she replies. "That's cool," I tell her. The conversation was absolutely terrible until she finally took the lead. "What bands do you like to listen to?" Nancy asks me. This question changed the entire conversation, and we were finally able to begin talking. We talked about music and bands for hours until Nancy had to get off the phone. The next day at school, I see Nancy, and we both approach each other. She's eating a bag of chips and she asks if I want some. I agree, and we both share the bag. She shows me her folder filled with creepy art that she creates. What a weird girl. She's perfect, I tell myself. Nancy and I become friends, but I still have a crush on her, and I feel that just being friends at school or talking on the phone isn't enough. I want a girlfriend. I decide to ask Nancy out to watch a movie. "Hey, I was thinking if you want to go to the movies with me? It's cool if you don't, it's just a question," I ask awkwardly. She stares at me and asks, "What movie?" I begin to think, and the best movie out at that time? Men in Black looks pretty cool, I say. "If I can bring my friend, sure," she responds. I'm pretty happy she said yes, but at the same time, hopefully, her friend isn't annoying. I lived in a town where the movie theater and school are not too far apart. We both agreed to Saturday evening, and that we would meet inside the theater. Saturday had finally arrived, and I was very nervous. I was dressed in my casual clothes I would always wear. Jeans and a Metallica jacket with black skater-like shoes. I was dropped off at the movies and purchased my ticket. Once inside, I looked for Nancy and her friend. I found Nancy over by the arcades looking around with her friend. Nancy was wearing black pants and punk-like clothing in her usual black outfits. Her friend was a little taller, however, I don't remember her as well. I know she was also a rocker punk type girl. We greeted each other and I offered to buy some popcorn and nachos. The girls agreed and decided to buy the drinks and candy. The feeling of hanging out with a girl after school was very different. It felt so right. Now I wasn't in love, but I could feel myself crushing on her. We headed to the movie and found some seats. I was nervous. I had Nancy sitting next to me. "Saul, can I have some nachos?" Nancy asked me. "Yeah, here you go," I responded and put them closer to her so she can help herself. The movie finally started and I kept observing Nancy sometimes laugh. I remember I found her to be so pretty. Her little face with black eyeliner just felt so right. I caught her staring at me during the movie many times. Sometimes we would make eye contact and just look at each other and she would smile. At one point, she leaned into my arm and rested her soft little face on my arm. I got very nervous. I didn't know what to do, but let her rest there. Her friend on the other side kept signaling to me. Her friend looked at me and made arm movements, signaling to put my arm around her. I lifted my arm and she detached and I put my arm around Nancy. Her friend just looked at me and her and smiled. That was the first time I was ever close to a girl I liked as a romantic interest. I held Nancy for the rest of the movie. Once the movie ended and we got up, Nancy took my hand and we both walked away from the movie holding hands. She hugged me one last time and I departed from the date. I had the biggest smile and I couldn't stop thinking of her. I didn't even pay as much attention to the movie as I should have. Once I was home, I called Nancy and we kept talking. We would talk for hours on the phone and hang out at school. Like all middle school relationships, this one only lasted about a month. The last time I saw Nancy was now as an adult. It seems she works at a local pharmacy and she is no longer the little punk emo girl she used to be.
Thank you for watching Reddit Stories. Please feel free to leave a like and subscribe. May you all have a blessed day.